This is the Trading Psychology Podcast. This is VP, creator of No Nonsense Forex and author of the book No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology. And with me, as he is every week, it is that shining beacon on a hill. It is Rob Reinhold.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick. It is good to be here, and I hope everyone knows how much I truly enjoy this. I have spent so much of my life learning about this stuff, and not really for anyone else, but for me. And then I realized how much other people love this stuff and needed to learn it. And so I'm very happy to have spent the time, spent the effort to be able to share that with everybody.
And so on that note, I'd like to welcome everybody to this episode about not particularly loving what you do. Sometimes we get bored with it. Now, we've touched on this in one respect in the past, but a couple things to that. One, not everybody listens to every episode here. We understand that. And two, we're going to expand. We're going to go a lot of different directions here. And so, Rob, you have the first note here. I don't have any notes on this particular subject myself, but why don't you go ahead and get us started off, and then we'll just kind of slowly transition into things.
Well, thank you, Patrick. This comes directly from my personal life, my first couple years. When I first started trading, and we're talking about, this was back in 1996, 97. It was like the Stone Ages. Not just the Stone Ages of trading, but the Stone Ages of the internet. And I remember Charles Schwab was the very first company that offered online trading. They were the very first ones. And if you drove all the way downtown to Charles Schwab's office, in the lobby they had a computer where you could log into your account and make trades there. You couldn't do it at your house. You couldn't do it off of your phone. Like the cell phones we had back then were the brick phones. They didn't do anything other than take calls. That's how I started, and that's where I started. I found out about Maverick Trading, and I walked into Maverick Trading, which was a trading firm, but it was downtown, and I didn't live downtown. So for me, every single morning, it was about a 25 to 30 minute drive. Again, you could not trade from your house. There was literally no internet in anyone's house anywhere. It didn't exist yet. So for me, I had to wake up early in the morning, drive downtown. The market opened up at 7:30 where I live, so I'd want to get there about 30 minutes at least before the bell. So, I was waking up at 5:45, 6 o'clock, and I would drive all the way down there. And then I would start trading. I cut my teeth day trading equities, and by a lot of the times, I had made my goal by 7:45 a.m. So just think about this. I woke up, got ready, got in the shower, got in my car, drove downtown. I'd already hit my limit, my profit. At 7:45 a.m., I'm done for the day. Do you think I got in my car and drove back home? No. What do you think I did, Patrick?
You've already made your money, and you made it so early. Let's make more.
There we go. Let's make more. And what do you think inevitably happened for a lot of days?
You ended up losing what you made.
Yeah, I gave back a lot of it. And when I recognized this pattern, when I finally oh wait, this is the pattern that I'm in, I realized, well, I can't sit here and trade all day. But I just made this trek downtown. I couldn't just get back in my car and then go back home. I could, but I'd already put so much effort into getting down there. But I knew that if I stayed in that chair, I knew that I would keep trading. So I just made sure that I wasn't in that chair for a lot of the day. Now, thankfully, back then, if I was out of my desk chair, I literally couldn't get a quote. I couldn't make a trade. I couldn't do anything. Remember, you didn't have a cell phone back then. So I scheduled time at the gym. I've talked about all these things that I did, set up lunch appointments with people to where I kept my day busy. But I made so many trades as a young trader out of boredom. Now let's fast forward a couple years, somewhere around 2000, 1999, 2000, you could start to get internet at your house. So some days I didn't feel like making the drive all the way downtown, so I just stayed at home. And those days I wouldn't really get in the shower. Why get in the shower? I just go downstairs to my office and I would be in, my sweatpants and, take my food down there. And I would be down there pretty much all day long. And on the days where I was disciplined and patient, I didn't make any trades. And then when I finally came up at the end of the day, my wife asked me how to go. I said, I didn't make any trades at all today. Now, just think about this. You've got a mom upstairs dealing with 2 little babies, running her ragged. I'm downstairs in sweatpants, hanging out with some bag of chips and whatever. And again, I'm working, but I'm not clicking any buttons. How do you think that went in this relationship, Patrick?
Well, if you were doing nothing but printing money while you were down there, I think she would understand. But as we all know, that's not really what trading is. So I'd imagine it didn't go over well.
Well, look, and my wife is so awesome. She never gave me any grief, but it was internal pressure on me. Like, I had to justify the time I was spending down there. And by not clicking a button, I easily could have been upstairs helping with the kids. So for me to stay down there, I had to click a button. And I did it out of boredom. I did it out of boredom because, hey, you know what? I need to be doing something. One of the things, and I've told this story, and I think I need to tell it every single time I get a chance. When I have traders at Maverick who let me know that, hey, Rob, I'm quitting my full-time job to focus on trading full-time because I've done so well, I always call them up and we always have a very frank conversation. And I tell them that's a mistake to quit your job. Now look, if you hate your job, that's not a mistake. It's not a mistake at all. But I explain that you're used to working 40 hours a week. And your work is, you do this, you have this, whole list of things you do every single day. You don't do that in trading. When you quit an intense job and trade, it is going to be so boring. So absolutely boring. You need to have other things. And we're going to talk about the solutions here in a little bit. But I always have that conversation with traders, and they always think it's going to be easier when I don't have my full-time job or my part-time job taking up all my time and I can dedicate all my time to trading. They think that's a good thing. And I got to slap them upside the face and say, listen, that's a bad thing unless you are ready to manage it. Because boredom is going to get you. You'll overtrade, you'll make all the mistakes we talk about in the podcast, and it's just because you're sitting there all day.
Yeah, I can co-sign on all of that. I just don't have, I guess, too much to add to that. Because we touched on that a little bit before, but I appreciate the expansion on that, Rob. I want to transition, though, into something that even if you're an intraday trader or a daily chart trader like we are at No Nonsense Forex, this is something that's going to hit you too. And this is also something I have talked about and I've done an entire video on, Rob, but I want your opinion on this too. So talking about short-term boredom, and this is mostly for daily chart traders, but as we all know, there are times in the market, often, where there's not a lot going on. Now, you still have to be there just in case something does happen, but you can go, weeks, even over a month in some extreme cases without a real trade entry. Your volume indicator might just keep telling you no matter what's going on. And that's going to wear on you because depending on when you started or if you just came off a nice run where there was a lot of action, that's what you're used to. And now there's nothing. And now you're not generating any income. And all those numbers you thought you were going to hit at the end of the year, you're getting slowly further and further away from those goals. That's tough. That is going to eat at you. Now, Rob, I did a whole video saying during dead markets, here are some things you can do. One of those things was, and I couldn't believe I said it at the time, is drop down to a lower time frame because there probably are entries there. You have a system in place which works on every time frame. If you want to use it now, go ahead. Now, apart from that, we have solutions for all of these things. I just gave one, but without giving away any solutions just yet, do you have anything to add to this problem of short-term boredom when the market is slow?
I definitely have ideas. I didn't say good ideas, but I definitely have ideas. I do want to just comment real quickly on system jumping. System jumping is where you have a system, you're okay, I've done it, I've tested it, everything's great, and you run it, and it runs fine for a while, and then for a long period of time, it underperforms or doesn't perform. And you look at this and you say, oh, the system's broken. The system's broken, I need to change the system. And what you need to understand is the system's not broken. You are just in a period where the underlying market conditions are not conducive to your system. Here's the way the markets work, and the markets are phenomenal at this. Once everyone thinks a strategy is dead, it starts working again. Once everyone thinks a strategy is going to work forever, it blows everyone up. It is amazing how good the market is at this. You know, one of the things that just pops in my mind is people, like right now, zero DTE options are all the rage. Just sell 0 days to expiration. So you wake up in the morning, you sell an option that's far away from the market, and you just collect your 40 cents a share, and you're just printing money day after day after day. That is very popular right now. And do you know what that tells me? That this strategy is likely coming to an end. And what's happening is you're seeing this in the VIX. Implied volatility and historical volatility are dropping and dropping and dropping. And where you used to be able to get 40 cents, you can now get 20 cents. And then that's going to drop to 10 cents. So do you know what people do? They say, well, I want that 40 cents, so I'm going to do a closer to the money one to get me that 40 cents. And then what happens is the market has a 2% drop and everyone gets completely wiped out. I really don't like system jumping. I really don't like it because I think that when most people finally get to the point where they want to jump systems, it's probably that moment because you can't take anymore. It's just like when you have a losing trade. And so let's say you didn't have a stop on it. When you finally just can't take it anymore, those are the bottoms. Those are the bottoms. So I just wanted to jump in on system jumping, and maybe we should do a whole episode on that one. What do you think, Patrick?
I agree, we should. That's why I don't want to add too much to this. But I will say it's really weird, especially when people start out and they put these systems together. They're always like confused when systems don't work all the time. Like they thought it was going to work all the time regardless of the market conditions, and that's just not how it works. And I think they're so disappointed by this that a lot of people quit. A lot of people thought, oh, this is great. I found something that can just work all the time. Yeah, when you have something that works, I'm doing air quotes, all the time, this is over, like the course of a year or 2 or 3. That's systems. There's no system out there that just simply works every single time in every market condition. And these dead markets can last a while. And that really, really messes with people. So the only other thing I wanted to mention on the short term boredom was sometimes markets can absolutely run and rage, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, Rob. To where it's the opposite of dead, but they run so much that you're not able to enter it. If you're a reversal trader or a trend trader, when markets are running and they're running for a long time, sometimes there's just no entries, but all the while, Rob, I'm staring at this market that's going bananas, and I'm not taking part in it the way I want to. And that is messing with me because I see people killing it. I've already closed out, most of my trades. I might have a few that are still running, and that's nice, but, I want to take advantage of this more. And I don't know if that's really falls under boredom, but I thought I would mention this. Have you encountered this yourself or with your traders? And let's not talk about the solutions just yet, but have you had to talk them through this a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a very, very common problem. It's a little bit of FOMO. You see everyone else making money. But, when you're super disciplined and you're waiting for that pullback, sometimes you don't get it. And to be on the sidelines when you, quote, knew it was going to run like this can be very, very frustrating. And, that this is part of boredom of, hey, you see everyone else at a party. You're looking in the window and it looks like they're having a great time, but you didn't get invited to that party. That can definitely be a recipe for disaster to say, well, I'm bored, I'm going to go join the party. Again, probably by the time you finally decide to join that party, the market is at its peak. Those are what peaks of the market are. It's when you feel like doing something that's different than what you know should do. One of our traders at Maverick, great guy, Corey, he always has this saying, whatever you want to do on a trade, the right decision is probably the opposite. If you want to sell it, you probably want to hold on to it. If you want to hold on to it, you should probably sell it. Now look, obviously you follow rules as a trader and none of this matters, but he's basically pointing out that the market is going to get you to push you at those moments, and it's really good. And so if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in a runner, I need to get out, you probably want to stay in. If you're in a market and you're saying, oh, this market's gone up too much, you may want to reconsider. But like I said, you trade the charts. We're dealing with psychology here. You just have to understand that sometimes you're going to be a spectator on the runs. And so one of the big things is take a big step back. And I love to talk to our traders about this. Take a big step back. You look at any year, and I guarantee you that there's going to be 1 to 2 months that are strong downtrends. Somewhere in that month or for the whole month, strong downtrends. You're going to have about 4 months that are slight uptrends. You're going to have 2 to 3 months with big runs, and the rest is going to be sideways. So let's say like that is what we all understand. That, and of course, every year is a little different, but for the most part, that's what you're going to get. If you go into the year understanding that, now I go into every year with the expectation that I'm going to have 1 to 2 negative months in my profits. Now, Patrick, did you ever think that as a young trader that you were going to have negative months in that year?
When I was really young, no, because I thought I had found the Holy Grail, and like we just spoke about before, the Holy Grail just works all the time, no matter what's going on. So, I made that mistake too. And I'm telling you, I really want to know how many people enter this market and get all excited and then watch a channel and put a system together. And as soon as they realize it doesn't work all the time, they're like, well, screw this, because they're just not mentally and emotionally prepared to handle it, for one. Or two, they just set their expectations way too high and they're just out of touch with reality. When the right move the whole time was just to stay with it and improve. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but that's obvious, right? But yeah, I absolutely felt that. And the reason why we say the things we say on here, Rob, and we keep repeating them, is because especially beginning traders, I don't know when you started listening to this podcast, but these are things you really need to hear, because I can't imagine how many potentially great traders were just completely waylaid when they came to that realization that things don't work all the time.
You said it perfect. The expectations. If you go into every single year with the expectations that you are highly likely to have 1 to 2 negative months, when you get to April and all of a sudden April's not working out and you got a down whatever percent you're down month. If you prepared for that mentally, you're like, oh, that's one of the months this year. That's one of the months. I might have another one. And in a really bad year, you might have 3. But okay, that's what happened. If you don't have that expectation, at the end of that month, you're going to be trying to grind out something. You're going to be doing all the mistakes in the world. So look, 2 months of the year, just expect them to be negative returns. 4 months of the year, I have a term for this, and I would love for you to take this term. I call it the slog. Now, I don't even know if that's an actual, I guess it is an actual term, but a slog is like you're walking through mud and you can't go that fast and everything's grabbing at your boots in the mud and you just can't get anywhere. I call it the slog. And when that comes, I tell myself, oh, here's the slog. We're in the slog. Right now, we're in the slog. I fully understand where we are. I fully understand that my job during the slog is to try to break even. If I can break even during the slog, then that's going to do really nicely. Or, we've talked about this before. Some traders will have a measure of what the slog is, and they will cut their position sizes in half. So during the slog, they're only trading half position sizes and theoretically losing a little bit less than they would have with full position size. I know, Patrick, your methodology, and I agree 100%. Just be consistent. Be consistent. But as you get a little bit more advanced, we talk about dynamic position sizing. That's something you could take a look at. There's going to be slog for a lot of the year. But there's going to be 3 or 4 good months where you're like, oh, okay, I hit my target. And then there's going to be 2 months where you are the rock star, where you are God. And those months can mess you up too, because then you get the overconfidence, all the things we've talked about. As a young trader, you just have no ability to understand that that's what the year is going to be like, because every day the market's moving. Every day there's opportunity. So why can't I get it? Why can't this day I get it and this day I can't get it? Look, you've got your system. In any given period, it's going to work better than others. In some periods, it's going to be a loss. In some periods, it's going to be the slog. When you're in the slog, that's the most important time to stay disciplined. Because what most people do is they give up all their gains in the slog. And when the market finally moves out of the slog, they're either gun shy or they're capital poor, to where now their position sizes are so small they can't make back their losses. So look, have the expectations that 2 months out of the year, you're going to take a loss. Look, you may not. I've had years where I didn't, but who knows? But have that expectation. Have the next expectation, there's going to be 4 months out of the year where the best you can do is break even. That's the best. And then you're going to live for the other half of the year where everything works. And then 1 or 2 months out of the year, everything is going to work so good that you get delusions of grandeur. Go into every single year with those expectations, and then you don't have to deal with the boredom in the slog. You don't have to fight it. Just accept it. So what you said, Patrick, was so good and so wise. Your expectations are going to be everything in this game.
Yeah, and if there's one real drawback to trading the way we do on my channel with the daily chart, is that it's probably going to be a slog more often than it's going to be exciting. And so you're going to have to really be prepared for that, because when you were back testing and running those tests, your system and you both did not understand, what this life is really like. This is an actual job. So it's a really good transition into the next portion here. And this is more of a long-term type of boredom. Now, this is where I'm currently at now, and I'm dealing with it just fine. But there will come a point to where you've just done this so long that it becomes a chore more than it does something that's actually exciting. Like we just talked about a couple minutes ago, this might already be happening on a day-to-day basis. But imagine when you've already gotten your system down and it works and there's really no reason to do much else except for show up every day and decide what you're going to do. That's a place that, I don't know if this is I think it's a good place emotionally for me to be, but it's very unexciting. And that's just a shame, because Forex was the most exciting thing in the world for me for so long. And it's just not anymore. Yet, I still, because I'm disciplined and because I understand that as long as I'm plus money doing this, there's no reason to stop. I still show up every day. But it is something that wears on me. And at some point in your career, traders, if you stick with this, it's going to happen to you. So I want to address that here. And then I want to go ahead and bring both of these points up, because I wish I did that before. But what I think happens sometimes too is, especially after you've done this a couple years and you look back and you see how much you've made or how much you haven't made, and then over time you find something that is more lucrative, like, I don't know, crypto, or starting some type of business or something, to where your time is being, in your mind at least, is being rewarded more than trading is. This can be a problem too, because this is a very, very fast way to fall out of love with something that can continuously pay you year after year after year. And that's a problem, but it's a real thing, Rob.
Look, when you were talking, I was just, my thoughts in my mind. And I thought you were going to go where I was going to go. But right at the end, it divided off a little bit. I was going to say, look, if trading gets really boring for you and you have a better opportunity doing something else, quit trading. Who cares? Who gives a shit? And then guess what? Come back. Come back when you think it's exciting again. Like, I know that's not a great message for our podcast.
Terrible.
But honestly, it's not a big deal. Like, hey, if you've got something else that brings you passion and in it you've got, all this energy for that and Forex, look, the way you guys trade, everyone can stick with it. Everyone can stick with it. But if you're trading a method that is a little bit different, that does take a lot of time and effort, you might find you have more passion elsewhere. Don't handicap yourself. Just go do what you love and come back if you find it interesting again. I just don't see a big deal about this.
Yeah, you saved yourself at the end there, Rob, as we transition into the solutions portion of this episode, that the way we trade, at least on the daily chart, it allows you plenty of time to do whatever you are passionate about, whether it's family, job, new opportunities, whatever. So you really shouldn't stop. And that's my first solution on our list here, is you're going to want to walk away and just take some time off. I don't think that's the move. And I say this for a couple reasons, Rob. I say it because trading is a job, and you have to show up to a job no matter what, even if you're bored with it. Or else, you know what? You don't deserve that job. Plain and simple. This whole thing is a muscle in a lot of ways that has to continuously be stimulated, or else you're going to fall apart. If you just trade when you feel like it, and then walk away when you don't, and then come back when you feel like it again, that's not sustainable. This is how you miss out on really big runs. You get really big runs reward the patient and the disciplined and the trader who shows up all the time. I just don't think this part's negotiable at all.
All right. You got me on board here, because now I'm thinking about all of the time and effort that it takes to get good at this versus the actual work it takes down the road. You're right. There's no other job. This would be like you working as an insurance agent for years and years and years to try to build your book. And then at 10 years, you walk away from your residual income that you've built because you're bored. No, just keep your sign on the window. Don't get any new business, but keep getting your renewals. Okay, I'm 100% with you. You've put in way too much time and effort, and the effort it takes in the end, there's no other profession that has this kind of payoff. So I'm with you now. You cannot walk away. Just have a system that fits within your life.
Right. This might not be the most popular solution for a lot of people. I just got to sit there and deal with it and just be bored all the time. Well, no. That's where the rest of these solutions come in. Now, unfortunately, we don't have, even in the United States, we don't have this charmed life to where we can just do exciting shit all the time and just keep that part of our brain stimulated. There's going to be mundane things mixed in between. And if trading ever gets there, and as we said, it's going to get there short-term and long-term, whether you like it or not, there are ways to where you can fold in more exciting things. And one of those is something I tell people all the time. People are like, I'm just going to trade Forex because I just want to get really good at Forex before I do anything else. I'm like, guy, these markets move very similar. You should be trading other markets too for a host of reasons. One, if you're good at one, you're probably going to be good at another one. Two, over time, you're going to learn which markets you're the best at, and maybe you should have more heavily focus on those. Three, I think you have said this, Rob. This might actually be a Rob Reinhold quote. There is always a bull market somewhere. And that's very true. Money has to go somewhere. If it's moving out of stocks and gold and things like this, it's probably going into cash, and then that's when that market gets going, and then vice versa. So a really great way to avoid boredom is to trade multiple markets, because chances are you're not going to be bored with every single one of them.
Yeah, if you want to focus your free time and effort in the world of trading, this is an essential thing that you have to do. You have to trade multiple markets, and you have to trade multiple investments. Like I know, Patrick, you run an investment podcast. Like you should be investing. You should be doing long-term trading. You should be doing, some option stuff in sideways stagnant markets. You should be doing everything. So if you want to spend more time in the trading world, then trading multiple markets, to me, is just, that's how you do it. Now, if you don't want to spend more time in trading, then I'm going to go back to some of our previous episodes that, I think episode 10 was multiple streams of income. Trading should be part of what you do. It should not be the sole thing you do. So you've got lots of opportunity outside of this business.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can both co-sign on that. Rob and I both have a lot of different things going on. I'm about to have, I don't know how soon it's going to be, a really big video on all the opportunities, and there are well over a dozen that you can use if you are a good trader. Different avenues, lucrative avenues that you can utilize if you are. And that's something I recommend everybody. Get good to a point and make money trading, but also make money doing other things, whether it's inside the arena of trading or outside of the arena of trading. And then once you're doing that and you're stimulated that way, then taking 10, 15 minutes to go to the side and check your charts and do what you need to do doesn't seem so bad. It's almost like a welcome respite from everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, if I was just trading, which, honestly, I think for a lot of people when they first start out was the goal, they're like, I just want to trade full time. But if I was trading this way and doing nothing else, it would be brutal. I would have 15, 20 minutes of activity a day in a market that might not be moving, and that was it. I couldn't imagine that. So yes, keep yourself occupied, and if you can occupy yourself with things that actually make you money or could potentially make you money, then you're doing it right.
I think that is just great advice, and I just want to talk to our two groups of people out here. The key to extroverts is to stay busy. Just stay busy. Whether it's in the world of trading, whether it's in the world of real estate, or whatever it is, stay busy. Stay busy. I came up with a saying, and I love this saying. The saying, a tired dog is a good dog. A tired extrovert is a good extrovert. Extroverts that don't get their energy out, they blow up down the road. They act out. They do things that are wild because that's what we crave. So look, if you're an extrovert like me, keeping busy is going to be the most important thing in your life. And look, I just turned 50, and I'm exhausted living this kind of life. I'm totally exhausted. But the second I slow down, I'm unhappy. So it looks like I will just go at this pace for the rest of my life, die of a heart attack with a smile on my face. So extroverts, keep busy. Introverts, you, on the other hand, probably are more, intellectual. You need to just keep stimulating your curiosity. Like I don't see you need to be active and busy like us extroverts with all this energy bouncing out. But I think your pursuit of just the intellectual curiosities of trading and life itself is going to be the thing that keeps you out of boredom. So again, never stop learning.
And caveat emptor on that too. We just put out an episode a couple weeks ago talking about how less is more, and too much data and going too deep into something like trading is only going to hamper you over time. Trading at the end of the day is quite simple. So that being said, how do I keep myself stimulated as an introvert, as I am? Well, one of the ways is if you're a no-nonsense Forex trader, there are over 10,000 indicators out there for you to test and play with and improve your system. That is a perfect way. I did this for a very long time. I still do it, not as much as I did before, but this does keep me stimulated because this whole thing is like one big puzzle, a puzzle you're never going to fully solve. But a puzzle that does make the end result better, and that is incredibly stimulating to me. And now with all the automated tools that you have to backtest and things like that, it should be even less tedious than it was for me back when I was doing everything by hand, and admittedly still do sometimes. So yeah, I co-sign on those things too. And Rob, you had a couple other things that don't really fall into any of the categories we spoke of so far. And I think if I'm looking at the notes right, you have mentioned this a little bit before in the past, but go ahead and bring it up again.
I started trading in 1997, and after about a year and a half, and I had good enough results to be like, oh, hey, this is a thing. I grabbed my brother, I grabbed my friends, and I'm like, hey, you're going to come do this. And they're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are. And I formed this little trading group, and it surprised me. It gave me 20 times more joy to see them make a profit than to watch my account grow. And it was right at that moment. I actually came home and I told my wife, before anything was even created, I said, I know what my purpose in this life is. My purpose is to help other people make money. And as closely as I've aligned myself to that path, I've been very happy doing it. Now look, you may have a different goal than me, you may not have the same personality as me, but for me, it has been the most rewarding thing I've done in my life, and I hope to continue to do it. If you have put in the time and effort, grab the people you know, and look, they might not ever trade, quote, full time, they might not ever, but you know what? If they show any interest in it, you're going to help them out. And I tell people all the time, look, I've taught people that ended up not being real great traders, but they got a great job at a help desk at, E-Trade or Fidelity because they knew the lingo. And they were very, very fulfilled at that job. Like, passing it on and helping others, if that is part of your soul, who you are, absolutely take it. And it gives you this purpose that is greater than, did I make my goal this month? Who cares? Did I help other people make their goal this month? Holy shit. That's how you smile on your face.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If anything, Rob, you and I are walking embodiments of this. We both decided to help others, and not only was it good for our wallets, but I think more importantly for me, it was good for two things. And I think we've talked about this on the show too. One was validation. I was screaming into the sky about this system I had that worked better than what was already out there, and nobody would listen until I actually put it out there, and then the right people came. And then on top of that, I think I've said this before too, like, I don't want to die tomorrow, but if I did die tomorrow, I would die happy because I have, like, one, had that validation, which is more important to me than anything, and two, I have helped a lot of people, and almost nobody can say that. Not that I'm competing with anybody else in that regard, but that it's just so satisfying to know that you've done something like that. You can't put a price on it, even if I made no money from it. Just the fact that I have that under my belt is, I almost I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything like that, but you cannot put a price on that. And simply doing something like that is remarkably stimulating because it's remarkably rewarding at the same time. So there are so many different ways to fill the void here because there's going to be voids. We know that, short term and very long term. But the important part is that you find a way to fill those voids with something productive. And you can often do that with what you've already learned in trading. So that being said, Rob, that was kind of my way to wrap it up. Do you have a way to wrap this up too?
Well, look, I will just, as a testament to you, we have many known NSX Forex traders at our desks at Maverick Trading, and I see what you've done, and I talk to our traders, and our traders could not be more happy because they searched in the wilderness for years. And once they came across you, it all started working for them. So we are direct beneficiaries of the work you put in. And yeah, it is. There's nothing better. Like I said, you'll jump up and down. Look, I'm trading with my son now. He's 22. When we make money together, it's so much better. And it's such a small amount compared to what I'm making. But it's so much more rewarding because I'm passing something on to him. And that's just a great thing to live for, something bigger than yourself. So that's really all I've got.
And let me just wrap this up by saying something I probably should have said at the beginning of the show. Every episode is sponsored by Maverick Trading. No-nonsense Forex traders tend to do really well in an environment like that. It seems to be a very hand-in-glove fit. And Maverick Trading was not affected by the recent MetaQuotes bugaboo that's going on right now. So you have that protection as well. I know that affected a lot of people. So check the links down below for that.
And Patrick, we don't really talk about this, but we should. We do have two divisions. So Maverick Trading is our stock and options division. Your traders are mostly trading in our Maverick Currencies division. So if you look up Maverick Trading and you fill out an application, you're going to get questions about stocks and options. And you're going to be like, wait, I'm a little confused. MaverickCurrencies.com is where you want to go fill out an application to be a currencies trader.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been so long since I've done that, I've forgotten all about that little part. But yeah, there are two divisions, and the currencies division also includes crypto, for what it's worth. But thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Trading Psychology Podcast. Rob and I will both see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.